In this video, we will show you how to update your firmware on your iPonic controller. Now, the latest iPonic controller firmware update is a mandatory update for all cloud users as it affects how controllers communicate with the cloud server. This update applies to both the 614 single and the 624 dual zone controllers. Please view the process carefully to ensure proper installation, authentication, and connectivity between your iPonic controllers and the link for iPonic Cloud. So what you want to do is open up your cloud account and then go ahead and log into your cloud. And once you log into your cloud, go to My iPonic Cloud. And in My iPonic Cloud, you will notice that you have a new radio button that says Download Mandatory Firmware Update. Also, as well, if you were to go to View Controller, you would have the same banner going across the top that says Click here for Mandatory Download Update. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click this Download Mandatory Firmware Update. And as you can see, our firmware in fact downloaded, and what we want to do is go ahead and open up this zip file. Now with the zip file open, just go ahead and insert a USB into your PC, and you just want to go ahead and grab all this information in this zip file and drag it to the USB. And that's it. After you have dragged all that information to the USB, now we can go ahead and do the firmware update from the iPonic. Let's go ahead and simply close everything up, and now let's go to the iPonic. Our iPonic with the new firmware.
Now from the controller, we want to go ahead and update the firmware. What we're going to do is just simply open up the top. I'm going to go ahead and insert the USB drive on the back of the PCB. Now once the USB is installed, we're going to simply just go ahead and close the controller back up. And from the controller, we're going to do the following. Hit the OK button, then go to System Setup, and then we're going to go to Advanced Setup. And then we're going to go ahead and hit the More button, which is number 8, and then button number 4, which is Bootload. And we're going to go ahead and say yes to the bootload. We're going to save the current configuration and just wait for the bootload to do its job. Now this process may take several minutes, and once this list of items have been completed within the controller's programming, write complete, we're finished. As you can see, we have a new version firmware 2.2.04. And just go ahead and hit OK. The date's correct. You want to synchronize with the internet? Not right now for now. We're going to leave the same equipment because we're going to load a configuration. And we are running a CO2 tank. Now, what we want to do next is we want to go ahead and go from the controller, and we want to go to System Setup, and then we want to go to Communication Setup, and we want to go to Server Setup. Now as you can see in this screen, it has connection status, which says check account, serial number, and it also has a registration passcode populated in the screen, in which we will need that passcode for authentication with the cloud. Now until we do get connectivity with this controller, the connection status will remain check account, but will change once connectivity has been established. So right now we're going to go ahead and go back to the cloud and utilize that passcode.
Now that we have updated our controller's firmware, the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and go to our iPonic cloud, and we want to go ahead and manage our controller. We want to set the passcode. And what we want to do is go ahead and take the passcode that is on the controller, and we want to go ahead and input it in this field right here. So the passcode is AH83AHTKUXAFP67T. And then what we want to do is just set the passcode, and then you'll get a window that prompts you, before proceeding, ensure that the iPonic controller has a matching passcode. Okay. And our passcode has been set. So now that we have set the passcode, what we want to do is we want to go back to our iPonic to confirm that the passcode has in fact communicated and has been connected, which will be indicated by the connection status indicator. Now we recommend, after you institute this passcode, that you take a snapshot and store this information in a safe place, because you may need this in the future. But for now, we're going to go back to the controller. We'll go to the My iPonic cloud, and as you can see, it's unnamed, but the controller is in fact viewable now because the passcode has been accepted. Let's go back to the iPonic controller.
And going back to the iPonic controller, as you can see, the connection status has changed. The connection status now says OK, and now we're ready to proceed by hitting the refresh status button. And by hitting the refresh status button, our installation and upgrade of firmware is now complete. And that's our process on updating the new firmware with the iPonic controller.